Hi, how are you? It's Laurel with the Dabbling hook, and my vision is very blurry, so I apologize in advance for all the squinting. But I'm like Fred Sanford, if I'm dating myself, for all you, those who know. I've got prescription glasses for distance and readers. Readers work up close, but when I look up, it's all blurry. Prescription is for distance, and it's fine, but up... I'm in a quandary, because now it's just always blurry, and I don't know how to fix it. Because according to my eye doctor, my prescription didn't really change much, so I have no help. How do you guys deal with that? Anyway. And now my eyes are dry. Alright, this is a little whiny fest. Having sparkling water. Cheers to you guys. Oh, for if you're new here, hi. Thanks for visiting. I would say that it's not always like this. Me kvetching, that's the word. Complaining, moaning, grumbling. But yeah, it is. But for all you OGs, cheers. For you newbies, hopefully you will enjoy once we get into content, but if you don't like what you see, thanks for stopping by, but I do hope you subscribe. Anyway, a little moaning. For the past, I think this is year 3, I don't have allergies, I've never had allergies, but for the last, I think this is year 3, like I said, around this time of year I get very sniffly and itchy nose, and I'm praying to the good Lord that it's not turning into allergies, because everyone else around me has allergies. I've never had it, but the pollen has been ridiculous this year. Excuse me, bubbles, probably wasn't a good idea. The car, you touch the car and it's just covered, it's all over, and I'm always feeling all tingly nostril wise, so I'm not handling it well. Anyway, hi again. What are we talking about today? Post craft fair number 1. Craft fair was almost a month ago, on the 16th of last month. Last month was a great month, as well as just full of trials and tribulations. Oh my god. I'm looking out the window because I'm looking at my deck that's not there, and the footings that have finally been poured because of inspections and blah blah blah. And then we have solar panels, so if anybody has that, and I guess a squirrel decided to nest underneath there and scratched up my roof. And about 3 weeks before this, the leak happened. My roof is leaking, by the way, into the bedroom. I heard this scratching, like something was trying to take chunks out of wood or something up there. I thought it was in the attic. Pest control couldn't find anything. Called the solar panel people, and turns out that something, most likely squirrel, was gouging and gouged a good section of the shingles and onto the roof. So yeah, at least, and we've had a lot of rain, so I'm dealing with that on top of the deck that's been delayed and finding issues, because this is a very old house. So yeah, so we started off with a college graduation, we ended with a high school graduation, and then the next day a 21st birthday. But in between, it's been a May, for the records. So let's talk about fun stuff. My craft fair, it went okay in that I made the threshold I set for myself. I'm not going to say what it is, but the threshold I set for myself to make sure it was successful. I had higher hopes for this craft fair because it's a location I used to do pre-COVID, and it was the first place where I made the most money at a craft fair. Or I should say, one day made the most money at a craft fair. And I did it for 3 years, and they ended up stopping because, you know, a lot of the craft fairs are run by volunteers, and they were having trouble because it was a great run craft fair. They had a little bit of people inside, but mostly it was outside. It was a place that was like an old stable, and they did lunches that they served for free, and they had the tastiest chicken soup there. But then they stopped, and it was so sad. And then when the people of this craft fair reached out, I'm like, oh, it's the same place where I used to be. It's a town, considered a money town, or I should say a well-off town. So I had high hopes, and the customer base that came through were not as, well, what's the right word? I don't want to say weren't as appreciative, but they weren't as free with the spending as I guess I would have expected. So anyway, like I said, I did reach my threshold, so I'm not complaining. I was just a bit weeny disappointed with the overall. And I had my first really negative interaction with somebody, with a customer. She wasn't really a customer, actually. She's one of those people who let their kids use other people to manage their kids, basically, because they were 2 kids, and they were just grabbing things, putting it down, touching, and a lot of people came through because it was kind of a celebration festival type craft fair, so you have a lot of kids there, and they had kid activities, and a lot of kids came with sticky fingers and everything. And I always said, you know, just be careful. I've got Purell, I've got wipes, just in case. And everybody was understanding, parents. But this one, it's like, you know, I was just telling her just to be careful with her kids, because the daughter had, her lip was just rimmed with blue something. So I was just going to tell her, just be careful with, you know, touching stuff. And she takes her kids and she goes, oh, we're leaving. I'm like, I was going to say no. I was just trying to explain to her. And she's like, well, what do you expect? You have stuffed animals and their kids. What do you expect? And I'm like, I was taken aback for a second, and I looked at her. I go like, wow. And then she started walking away. I go, have a nice day. But it's like the expectation that just because you're out there spending or selling, vending, that the kids can just run amok among other people's things and do whatever they want. And I was just, I kept it in. Because you don't want to get into too much, and you always have to go in expecting a loss or something, because they're kids and whatever, things happen, things will fall, whatever. But the unmitigated gall, and sense of entitlement, I don't know, thinking that your kid can do no wrong, or just because things are there, that it's just the things that are geared mainly towards kids, that they can just do whatever with it. It's just, yeah. Other than that, like I said, it's been raining a lot, and it rained that week, and it held steady that day, thankfully. There was a bit of the wind. The people behind me, things blew off their table like 3 or 4 times. I think I only had 2 instances where a couple of things fell off. Nothing to the point where it was damaged, but if it wasn't for the wind, it would have been a really great day weather-wise. We just didn't have as much sales as I would have liked, but the people who did buy were very appreciative. A couple of them were absolutely amazing, so there's always that. So what sold? Now, I said that in previous clips that I do not find any joy in the small things, making a ton of the small things. I do understand that, especially now, a lot of people aren't up for spending a whole lot of money. Some people will, but a lot of them don't, and I'm still amazed that a lot of them still either send their kids around, or the kids still expect to spend $1 and get something not even tiny, but something substantial for $1. Like, what world are you living in? Especially given the rise in yarn costs and everything. Not to mention the time that we don't really, well, a lot of people are putting in time. I know I'm not doing that as I should, but I know around here it would be very difficult to sell if I were to add my full time cost to things. But having said that, the things that sold the most, the highest one was the little ducks. I think the one that I use is by Hook Crochet Co. It's a pattern on Instagram. It's in the link that I posted previously. but I sold 11 ducks. Now I make it in like 2 or 3 sizes. Most I use the Posh yarn to make the little ones that I sell in my $5 bin, and then I use the blanket yarn for the $8 ones, and then I adjusted the size on some of them where I charged $10 for it. And then I had one swing. Excuse me. Ooh, the bubbly stuff was not a good idea for this. I turned one into a swing. So, actually no. The swing that I made was from a YouTube video. That it came out smaller than I wanted, so I just added a swing to it. So all in all, of the ducks, I sold 11 of those, which was surprising to me. I didn't feel that I sold that many, but when I went back, I sold 11 of them, so quite pleased with that. Scrunchies. I think I had shown the scrunchies that I made. I had some of the, you know, the scrunchie bands, the rubber things. So I was just trying to use them up, and I've tried scrunchies before. They haven't done well, but I decided to give it another try, and I did them before in the chenille yarn, and I still have some of those, but they didn't do so well. I think I've only sold 2 in previous craft fairs, but I decided to use some of my leftover scraps from either Red Heart or other acrylic yarns to make the scrunchies, and I sold 10 of them. Now, 6 of those were my mother-in-law. She comes to, when I'm in a craft fair near her, she comes and she insists. I keep telling her, you don't have to buy something, but she's going on a trip, and she ended up buying 6 of them. I sell them, 1 for $3 and 2 for $5, and she bought 3 sets of them, so to take with her as gifts. So that was nice. So I sold 10 scrunchies. Loaf cats, I sold 4. I was trying to keep track of like colors and things like that, and it's just, when things are when I'm in the process of selling things, it's hard to remember to write things down, so I don't do that. Everything's in my system. I use the PayPal point of sale system. They've changed from PayPal here to Zettle to now they're just a POS system. It would be too many to put in there, so I just have them broken down by price based on the size that I have them. But I want to say, I know I had like 4 or 5 black ones, and I think of the 4, 3 of them may have been black. I haven't gone back through my inventory of what was left. But 4 loaf cats. I sold 4 chickens. I showed all the scrap chickens that that I had made out of acrylic yarn. I think a couple of them were the scraps, and 2 of them were blanket yarn ones that I had. What else? And the bunnies I had shown from the YouTube videos. I sold 3 of those. One was a smaller one. I think I made it out of Parfait Chunky, so it came out smaller obviously than the Bernat blanket ones. So 3 in the Bernat blanket and 1 in the Parfait Chunky. It was the only small one that I had. I also sold 3 dragons. Now that was a disappointment for me, just my own personal expectation, because I thought they were adorable. I was hoping that the sleeping dragons from Nooks Hooks would sell, and I think part of it was where I displayed them. I have to work on my display, my table display. But I had some over here and some on my shelves that were higher up. I have a huge dragon up there, so I put some of them up there. And the smaller ones I had on the table, but I don't think they drew enough attention. But I did sell 1 of them, and I sold it at the very end when I was literally packing up. Almost always happens at my craft fair while I'm packing up, somebody comes by, and this one was a boy. He must have been around 10, and he couldn't decide. He had like 3 or 4 things in his hand, and 3 of them were dragons, and he couldn't decide. And I kept packing up. I'm like, you know, time to go. And so I was finally going, you know what, pick the 2 that you like, that way I could get all the other stuff out of his hands, and then because I need to pack some of the things up, and then we can decide on the 2. And we did that, and then I think I did an 80. My rant in the beginning had me not looking to see how long I was talking, but anyway, I did an itty mini miny mo with him so that he would make up his mind, and then he picked one, and he ended up picking the basics tie-dye one. I'm pretty sure is the one he picked. That was the one I said that was very busy and you kind of lose some of the detail, but that's the one he went with. So I was happy to see at least that sell. And then one Diddy Dex sold, and I think it's the one in the daisy chain, which is one of my favorite colorways in the tie-dye colorway. So I'm pretty sure I don't have any more of that, and I may have to go look at my stash, and I may have to go buy a couple of those. But anyway, and then I sold a mini dragon as well. So 3 dragons. Frogs, I sold 3, and 2 of them were frogs I had in my discount bins. They were a toad shaped frog, like a squatty. They're almost like triangular shape, and I'd had them for a while, didn't sell them, and I ended up tossing them in a discount bin. And actually a brother and sister ended up buying 1 each, so that was cool. And then the other one that sold was from the vendor behind me, whose stuff, their stuff was blowing in the wind. He bought one for, I think he said either his wife or girlfriend, but it was a big frog. It's a small frog. It's a Instagram freebie, but I made it in big blanket yarn, so it was, I think in the picture it looks like it's this big on Instagram, but when I made it, it's like this big. So, and that I'd had for I think since last spring at least, and it sold this spring. So things, if you don't mind holding on to it and carrying it around, things will find their right owner. So all right, those were the top things, and then the rest of these I sold either 2 of them or 1 each. The goose that I made, the 2 of them, I had made one in what do you call it? I had made one in Cozy Cub first, and then I showed the last one in the last video that I posted. I did it in Stash Goals, and that sold. The small one, this woman was there with her mother and her baby, and they were looking, and the toddler, I guess, and he pointed to that, and he had it, and he was not letting go, so that was an automatic sale right there. And then I mentioned that a couple of the sales I made, that the customers were absolutely wonderful, and this was a family, father, mom, and a son and daughter, and he kept referring to me as the artist, which this is when you know you found your people, and people who appreciate handmade, appreciate the work that goes into things. They were absolutely wonderful. They were, I say they were wonderful. They were lovely, especially the father. He was too much. She's like, we get to meet the artist. You know, he was telling the kids, you get to meet the artist. They made it. She made it with her own hand, and yeah, so it was wonderful. So he bought the goose, and I guess they had an older daughter, and the wife thought he was buying it for the older daughter, and he goes, no, I'm buying it for you, for the wife. It was just, I love those interactions. Love them. Absolutely love them. Yeah, so those 2 sold, so I definitely need to make another one. In my previous video, I said that I wanted to make another one, but I was going to try to do it in a different color, and I know somebody commented, like right before I was setting up for this video, I saw that somebody commented that I should do it in yellow, and Father Minion is just getting back. So I'm going to pause. Okay, I'm back. All right, I know I announce it because to you it's not a long time, right? But to me it was a good 10 minutes. So anyway, where was I? The goose. I think I said the goose. I'm gonna make it in, I'm gonna make another white one, or off-white one this time, and the person who, I don't remember the name, but she said do it in yellow, and I'm like, I don't know, but maybe. I don't know if I have enough yellow for it, so if I do, maybe I will. But then I did look them up, and it's either the white goose or the white underbelly, black top and wings, or gray, and then the neck is black and there's a little white on the head. So I don't know, I'll figure something out, but I'm gonna actually make another one. So either way, possums have always been a good seller for me. I only sold 2. Again, a little bit of a disappointment, but I sold 2. Sold 2 of my rats, which was cool. One lady, she was showing her, you know, pointing things to her, I think her grandkids, and then one of them showed her the rat, and she goes, no. I'm like, it's all right. I was pointing to her that, see the snakes up there, because I had snakes hanging. I'm like, that's as close to snakes as I would get. But she's like, no to the rats. The 2 seals that I made, and I will show you, I've made some more, but the 2 seals I made before, it is an Instagram pattern. Those 2 sold. Those 2 sold pretty quickly, actually, so I ended up making a few more. I sold 2 of the stingrays, the Chez du Couton stingrays. Again, that's usually another good seller for me, but not so much this time around. And the mini frogs didn't sell too, which was very surprising because they're usually a good seller for me. But wrong place, I guess. I had this little baby with a bib I made in cotton yarn ages ago. It has to be 5 years that it's just been, it was in a bin I had packed away, and since I decided to do the discount bin last year, I got all that old stuff out and I dumped it in there. And actually the same family that bought the goose and that were really nice, the father, he pulled it up and he was holding it in front of his daughter, like, look at this. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, wow, you never know, because it has been ages since I've had that. So I was really happy to see that go. So I'm gonna keep doing the discount bin because people really love digging through and seeing things. So I had a bee that I made. It was different than it wasn't a loaf bee, and I don't know if I ever took a picture of it, but it was a little bit different. I only made a little bit different than the normal bees, and I only made one. I don't even remember who it was by, but I've had it for at least 2 years, and it sold. I sold 1 capybara. They were doing really well for me for a while, and then now I sell, if I'm lucky, I sell 1 per craft fair. So I sold 1, which was good. I love though when people recognize it, especially the kids, which is awesome. I sold 1 Damn It doll. This was another boy with his grandmother, and the grandfather was there too, and they bought something else too, but they picked up like 3 of the Damn It dolls, and he kept asking his grandmother, like, which one does she like? And she kept saying, it's what you like. And they kept going back and forth. And then I finally, again, had to chime in and go, I like these with these 2 colors best. Well, I like them all, but I like these 2 best. And then they end up going with one of those. So, love it. The Demogorgon that I made, that sold. I'm going to try to do another one, at least in the patterns that I bought. The one that I made was from a free pattern from Amigurumi Today, but I did buy a pack on, I think it was a 3-in-1 pack on Etsy that I haven't tried yet. I sold 1 dino. Those are hit or miss. They were going like gangbusters for a while, and especially the Triceratops, but lately not so much. Everything has ebbs and flows, so I'm not mad at that. I did sell 1 of my elephants. I don't remember which one though. One of the big ones, but I don't remember which one it was. Yep, I don't remember, but I sold 1. One of the mini flower sprites that I made from a YouTube video, one of those sold. Again, it was a mom and her son, and he was buying it as a present for somebody, so that was cute. One of the Crystal's little monsters, one of those sold. This guy and his wife were there, and they were they had like 2 or 3, no, they had 3 of them comparing like the eyes, because these are the ones that have those googly looking eyes, but not the shaky googly eyes, just the, you know, weird ones with, I'd mentioned that I love one of them has like the kind of like disinterested sleepy eyes, and then the other one, if you turn the eyes upside down, it gives it a whole other vibe. And they had those two, and they picked between one of them. Actually, no, I think they picked the one that had just the one eye, the one round eye. I sold one of the horses. I made 2 horses from Atomic Crochet, her tutorial, and one of them sold. And 1 mini octo from, I think I made them from leftover yarn, so my effort to use up as much of my scraps as possible, or if I open up a skein, to use as much of that yarn as possible, so I don't end up with a whole bunch of scraps. And my battery is flashing, so let me see if I can get the last 2 out. I sold a rose stem. Again, that was a mom and her son, and they bought it for a class present for somebody, so that was cool. And 1 squid that I've had for, I think it was going on 2 years now. It was a large squid that sold. So I think I had like 29 transactions and 65 items sold, so not bad. All right, I'm going to change my battery, and then we will go over the things that I've made right before the last craft fair and since. Okay, new battery in. Let's see. So I mentioned that the seals sold. So I decided to make some more, and I used the 2 grays. I said I didn't have a lot of grays in my stash, and I bought from Hirschner's, and I bought, I think it was called Fog and Seal of the colorways. Anyway, it was a light and dark gray. I thought I didn't have any more, but I remember when I went to my stash, I found that I had bought 2 of the Fog colorways, so I made another one. Now, the Instagram pattern kind of ends kind of like here, and it's more rounded. I added a few more rows to elongate it a little, and for the nose or the snout, it has you do 6 single crochet and then sew that on, and yeah, no, there's no need for that. So I do mine, the pens, you'll see with the nose, some of them a little longer. The longer ones I did 6 single crochet, and then I did another round of 6, and then I went into the regular body pattern. For another one, I did 6 single crochet, increased to 8 because the body starts with 8. So I did 6, increased to 8, and then kept going with the pattern. And then for some of them, I did the 6, I did increase to 8, did another round of 8, and then did the rest of the pattern. So the snouts, protrusions are a little different on all of them, but yeah, I made it longer, and I didn't do a separate nostril or snout for it. But other than that, and on a couple of them, I just did an extra double crochet for the front flipper because it looked a little small. But yeah, so the only thing you have to sew, make and sew, is the back flipper. And I'd mentioned the back flipper, it's 2 tubes with 6 single crochets of 5 rounds, but I do them to 4 rounds, and then for the 5th round I connect them and do the 5th round instead of sewing them together and then sewing it to the body. So basically I just have one piece that I have to sew to the body instead of 2 separate. So that's in the Fog colorway. Body a little longer because I adjusted. I did 3 in this colorway, and I don't remember what the colorway is called, but this is the Skinny Chenille. I think it's Skinny Chenille it's called. Or they also have it in Petite Pearl, kind of how you have Sweet Snuggles Light, and then you have you had Home Slim, which is basically the same yarn but just different colorways within the same yarn, but they call it differently. Because the Sweet Snuggle is geared towards more baby, softer things colorways, and then the Home Slim, which I really hope they bring back, had the more saturated colorways. So this is kind of the same. They have Petite Pearl, and then they have Skinny Chenille. So this is what this is, but I tripled it. So, and I used a 5.5 millimeter hook and 5.5 millimeter hook, and you can see the difference Or did I use a J on here? I can't remember. Either way, the skinny chenille, even when you triple it, it still comes out way smaller. Way smaller. Because this is like a fluffy kind of yarn. This is not. So tripling it still doesn't give you that fullness and fluffiness that you get. But you can see. So you can see how the snout is longer, and I think this one I did 6, 8, and 8 in here. And I used the flecky nose, the little velvety feel nose for these on here. And for this one, I tried embroidering the nose. I wasn't too pleased with it. It's not terrible, but I wasn't too pleased. This one I did 6 and 6, and then I went into 8 on the nose. So yeah, you can see, doesn't look too different, but yeah. And again, trying to use up as much of the yarn as possible, and I just realized I almost finished off this yarn, but I forgot to bring it, so I'm gonna have to get it. But I made a smaller one of the yarn just doubled. So this is tripled with a 5.5 millimeter hook, or 6, I can't remember. And then this is doubled with a 4.5 millimeter hook. So yeah. So it's like mom, dad, and baby. I'll be right back. So I went to grab that last item that I made with that same yarn, and I figured I'd just pull out the yarns. When I was saying that, it's basically the same yarns, just renamed based on the colorways, I'm guessing. I don't remember if the skinny chenille is just this kind of variegated type of yarn. It's not really variegated, but you know, I don't know what you would call that, speckly ombre or gradient kind of yarn. But this is the skinny chenille, this is the petite pearl. They're both by Loops and Threads. The petite pearl is solid colors, very saturated, and the skinny chenille tends to come in this, let's see if it'll focus, kind of like speckly colorway. So this is I have to do a Pam Crow knit, and she puts her glasses and does the when she has to read it, or Ms. Z Zelda. This is called Orange Stripe, and it's more of a light salmony pinky orange. There's orange in here, but it's more of a pinky. The speckles look almost like a red speckle, pinks, oranges type of thing. Sunsetty kind of color. But so there's orange stripe, so I'm guessing this was gray stripe because it has this in there. So that's the skinny chenille, and the petite pearl, which is the same yarn that I made that small fox out of it that took me months to make because it's so, I used it single-stranded, never again, and it was took forever. So this is the petite pearl. So basically it's the same, it's the polyester yarn. The skinny chenille comes in 472 yards, 7.76 ounces, 220 grams. The petite pearl is 538 yards, 8.75 ounces, 250 grams. So you get more in the petite pearl, but again, it's probably because this is like not a solid color. You know how they do that. Charge you the same for less because it's variegated. So that is that. But the last thing I made with this gray stripe, and I have this much left, so you can see how, you know, how big this skein is, tripled. So I got the 3 of these out of it, and so I made this tiny little mini stingray. I might put it on a keyring because it's smaller than the ones I make with Posh. It's a little smaller, so I might put it on a keychain. And I don't know if I should put it like this or hang it by the tail on the keychain. Or here in the middle? I don't know. We'll see. But I have this much left of it, and it's not going to be enough to make another one of these, but I might start it in this and finish it off in a different color. But trying to use it all up. So, ham. All right, so those are the 3, 4, and then I made 2 more out of blanket in antique white. Oh, now I can see all the fluff. When I couldn't see it before, never fails. Oh well, I'll have to pull it off later. But this one I made with a J-hook, 6mm, and I kept going when I should have stopped, but I didn't like the looseness of it. Could be my tension, but it did come off, as you can see, bigger. And then I switched to a 5.5mm hook for the other one. So yeah, see the difference. And I don't remember this. I definitely did the 6 and 6, and then went into the 8 for the snout, so you could see the difference. And then that one. So mom and baby. So we'll see how those do. I don't have any more blanket yarn in gray, or blanket type yarn in gray, but I do have some what do you call it? Oh, stash goals in a darker gray. So I'm going to see how it turns out in that. I'm suspecting it'll come out more this size in the stash gold because it's not as thick as the blanket yarn. So I do want a different color gray. So that's it for seals. I think I'm good on seals. Because I sold one capybara, I wanted to make one to replace it. I ended up making 2. So this is the one that I sold, or the shape that I sold, and same hook size, same yarns. This is Posh in chocolate fudge, I think, or chocolate brown, and mushroom. And see how different it is. This one is thicker, stiffer, same size hook. I think it's a 4mm hook. And then look, you could actually see the belly protruding, but this one just came out much skinnier just because of the yarn. But yeah, this was a pattern I found on Pinterest. I think, did it lead me to a tutorial? Yes, there's a YouTube tutorial for this. But yeah, so I did the opposite with the brown ears with the mushroom ears. And then this is one that I bought off of Etsy 2 years ago, and I've made quite a few, but in this shape. I think I like this one better, but I've made this before, and I had one more of this, and did it sell? I can't remember. I do not recall, but I just wanted to make more. There's another pattern that I bought. It's supposed to be a really big one, and it's just lying flat like it's splooting. I have yet to make that because it looks really big, and I am hesitant because it's going to be a lot of rounds. But I like these. All right, this is a tutorial by Sammy on YouTube. She's Australian, I think. If not Australian, New Zealand. But I think she's Aussie. I don't know. I don't remember. But she put out this tutorial, I think, last week? A week or 2 weeks ago. And I made them, like, I think that same day it came out, or the day after it came out that I saw it. And I like to have at least one koala. And the last ones I had was, I think it sold during the fall, but I hadn't made another. No, I had a different one that also sold during the fall, and I hadn't made one, so I'm like, perfect. You just have to sew on, make and sew on the ears, and everything else is as you go. Even the nose is incorporated in. So this is what I'd use some of the Hirschner's, the basics chenille So this is, I think, gray or seal colorway, and this is fog. Yep, it doesn't look gray, but it is gray. Very light ash kind of gray. So 2 of those. I'm hoping to get to make a couple others with the Stash Goals gray, but we'll see if I get there. And then some of the, I think I sold one chicken and egg. Hold on. Oops. Hopefully I can cut out that noise if it was too loud. And if I didn't, and I can't, my apologies. I thought I sold a chicken egg and I do not see it. I'll have to go back and see. I was pretty sure I did. And maybe I put it under something. It was the same price as a different chicken, so maybe I put it in the wrong place. But anyway, I thought I made 4. I did make 4. I made 4 more chicken and eggs, and I was experimenting with how tall, because some of the ones I made are very top heavy and there's just excess space here that's not needed because it's such a small thing in here. So this one is a lot top heavy. It doesn't need to be here. So that's one of the ones I made. Oh, and it's the hooked, man, I've been talking a long time, Hooked Crochet Co. Or Crochet Hooked Co. Oh, I always get that wrong. I think I said it right in the beginning. But anyway, so the chick is her pattern, and her egg pattern, it's in 2 pieces, and obviously I don't like that. So, you know, I do my own thing, so I've been experimenting to see what works best. And then this one is it's not too top heavy. It's just a little bit, but I wanted to do one that wasn't coming out. So it's all one piece here, and I just added this just for something extra. So because my top of my egg was coming out conical, I wanted this to be a little taller, so that's why there isn't as much space up here, but I still wasn't too thrilled with it, but not a big deal because it's all one piece. And then I made another one shorter, so there's almost nothing up here, so that wasn't bad. And these are all removable except for that one. And then I landed on, I think, which one was, I forget which one was my final one that I landed on, but maybe it was this one. But I didn't want that much stuff up here, so it's a little not shaped as well. So this might be my final. I don't know, I think I have to make it again because I made these all in a row, so I don't remember. But another chick. This garnered a lot of attention. I do have some in what I wanted to be spring colors. I have a couple of blues, a couple of like a light purple color. The kids were fascinated that they were different colors, but they didn't sell, so that was a bummer. But I am hesitant with the white ones because, you know, hands touching, and after a while it's gonna get grubby, but I figured I would just stick with that. I was using up half a skein of yarn anyway, so yep. So I am good for that, unless they all sell out. I have another craft fair in a week on the 13th. And that'll be it until September, so yeah. The next thing I made, I had shown before when I was recording at my desk that I had made shells because I'm trying to use up the Dollar Tree yarn that I have. So I made a bunch of shells and they were just waiting for the body, so I had this one. This was in the gray. This is one of the nicer of the chenille because some of them are very distressed looking and thinner, but this gray is nice and plump. But I ran out, so I finished it off in the medley colorway. And then it was just waiting for the body, so there it is. And it just has some silver glitter backing for the eyes. So I need to put a mouth on him. I like mouths on them. So that finished. And then I made another dragon, sleeping dragon, of course. I think I'm gonna, well, I was gonna say I was gonna give the sleeping dragons a rest, but probably not, because I want to make a couple in brighter colors to bring out attention, because I think that was part of, they didn't draw as much attention as I thought they would, because where I had them placed, and they weren't popping as much. So I need a couple that pop to at least draw the attention. But I was going through my stash, and I came in the back. I came across this yarn. It's Hobby Lobby yarn. I don't shop at Hobby Lobby anymore. But this is their Soft Illusion yarn. And I forget what the makeup is. But it's got a, it's a number 6 weight, but it's got a latte-ish feel to it. So I made a sleeping dragon. Like I said, the variegated, the busy colors, you kind of lose the detail. I went with white eyes, which you can barely see. It's lost all the detail, but the charm of it is in the yarn. Look at that. Look at that glorious fuzziness. It's so lovely. And I didn't have a coordinating latte color, but I do have the Colorama Halo, which is, I think, a latte light kind of color. It doesn't have quite that feel of latte, but I used it, the green, to trim and to do the center spike. But the camera is not doing it justice at all, but it's just, it's so beauteous. It's so precious. So it's gonna go with my latte one that is just, look at it, it's just so cute. It's so cute. I'm enamored, not obsessed, I'm a little enamored with this pattern, so there'll be a couple more at some point. All right, last for now, because this is my latest finished item, but last but not least, I'd mentioned that I'm subscribed to Amigurumi Today, their newsletter, so I get their emails whenever new things come up, and they always have sales, blah blah blah, etc. And this pattern, one of the elephants and one of the teddy bears that I made was from them. It's one of their free patterns, but they had this chameleon that just, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's so cute, because the person was holding it in their hand like this, and theirs was much smaller, because I think they probably use like Parfait Chunky or something that small, but this is in blanket. But like, it's a free pattern, so I'll tell you, it's mostly no-sew. It's very low-sew. You have to make the legs and sew them on, or tie them on, actually, because you leave strings and then you tie them on. I did that for the first one I made, which I do not recall if it was this green or this other one here, but oh, I forget what I was gonna say. Yeah, this one I made, and I don't think that was the one. One of them I made and tied it on per the instructions, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not, I didn't like that. So you can easily surface crochet them on, which is what I do from now on. So it is really no-sew. After the fact, you have to put this on, obviously, because it's in whatever color you want, and then normally you'd tie this on as you go. It tells you when to stop and tie these on as you're making the body, but yeah, I don't. I just go back in after the fact and surface crochet them on, and more fluff. But yeah, from here, Father Minion couldn't figure out what it was, and he thought it was a dinosaur, and my crochet friend thought it was a dinosaur of some sort as well. But I'm like, no, look at the tail, it's a chameleon. Somebody thought it was a stegosaurus, and I'm like, no, they have a tiny head. But The other thing you have to do is kind of, when you close up the tail, leave a long tail, and then you weave it to weave through and then pull this in. But yeah, they're adorable. Again, I'm using up my glitter backings, so it's got that eye on there. And then I made a second one. I think this might have been the first one. Either the green or this might have been the first one I made. So I made another one in pink. This is a cake, dappled cake or some kind of cake, and this was the center of it. I don't recall, but and this is the Dollar Tree yarn doubled for this. Yeah, you can see it's a little bigger because this is oh gosh, what is that? What is the M yarn? Mystical. This is the Mystical and the regular for that blanket. Yep, and it's got pink sparkles as well. Gave them mouths. And then the third one I made was just, I had some yellow left. This is a little stiffer than the pink, is nice and soft. This is not the old formula, but it's a little firmer. Yeah. But yeah, I surfaced them on now instead of doing it separate, and this is just some red, I think the cranberry color. So I didn't know what to put with the yellow, and that's what I had available at the time. So, chameleon, cutie. So that's what I've been working on. I didn't need any of this for inventory, I think, other than the seals, because they both sold, and the one I sold of this. But I didn't have any koalas, so now that's in. I sold, what did I say, 3 turtles or 4 turtles, so I got one to replace. So, pound of flowers. It's so cute. So hold on, let's have it face. It's so adorable. You totally lose, you know, if you're not up close, you lose kind of the detail, but you can do the wing flip. Oh, that one's a little not as stiff. Oh, I love it. All right, I told Father Minion I'd hurry up, and it's much longer than I was supposed to be. On that note, I had a ratty old shirt on before I was recording, so I rushed and put this on. So now I am baking. It's quite warm here, 73 degrees. Actually, we've lost about 6 degrees already, and it's breezy and it's overcast, and we're supposed to get rain tonight. But on that note, I'm going to finish my bubbly water, that is, and put my glasses away. Oops, there it goes. Pam, one more time for you. On that note, I will talk to you guys later. Bye. I lied. I had a few other things to show that I totally forgot about. These two were pre-made. I just added straps to it. So I'm trying to get back to walking because I've been very sedentary lately. But when I go out, I just usually bring my phone with me, and my pants that I'm wearing, it's usually leggings or something, doesn't always have pockets. And even if my leggings have pockets, when I stick my phone in there, it tends to drag things down. So I had this little pouch that I made. This is Z's Zelda NRJ3 pattern that she did with, I think, Darn Good Yarns when she was ambassador for them. And she had a pattern little kit with them, and I made it, but I had totally, it was just in a drawer somewhere, and then I found it because I was looking for something to put my phone in, basically, and it fit just perfectly. So there's her pouch. Sorry, that was my phone, but it didn't have a handle, it was just a pouch. So I had some yarn. This was part of the cocoon shrug that I had repurposed to make the market bag that I showed last time. So I had a little bit left, so I made a handle, and it's basically, I attached the yarn, chained all the way to as long as I want, attached it, and then I single crocheted back all the way down, and then came back again and slip stitched the edge and I wanted to slip stitch the other edge, so I just when I was done with the slip stitch, I just kind of worked my way back to the other side and slip stitched the other side as well, so it looks like, oops, looks like that. And again, the slip stitch only goes so far, so it helps it not stretch as much. This was done in some wool yarn of some sort, I do not recall, and I had mixed it with some Darn Good yarn, I think yarn that I had gotten from them, I'm pretty sure, at some point long time ago. So that, and then my phone, it's got a little magnetic thing on the back, but it fits just right in there, and then I can sling it over and carry it instead of trying to put it in my pocket. So it was the perfect size, already made. I just had to add the strap. And then I was looking for something else. I'm amazed how many things I make and just chuck somewhere. But I made this, I think it was after the Z pouch, because when I went walking, I had a water bottle, of course, so I needed something to hold because I didn't want to hold it in my hand the whole time. So I had made this pouch, I think this was the second one I had made, and it was just sitting there, and it needed a strap, so I did the same thing. I had some of this brown that's in here. It's not the same brown as here. This is cotton, and this other brown is a mix, cotton mix, and I didn't have enough, so, and I accidentally twisted the strap, but it really doesn't matter. But I kind of did the same thing, but I did all slip stitches back and forth a couple of times, and I just added some of this green that I had left. So it's a mixture of brown and green, all slip stitches. Took so long because it's slip stitches. This is where I ran out and I joined the yarn, and I didn't do a great job, but nobody is going to know. So it's not as long because the water bottle, or I have a metal, my metal water bottle, it's taller, so it's going to be heavier and stretchier, so I didn't want the strap as long to stretch even longer, so it'll be like that, and I can just do this. So I have those two for when I properly get back to walking. And speaking of the market bag and repurposing of the cocoon shrug, this is the next one that I did. So this is the brown that's in the strap. That's this. And what's in the strap, I obviously didn't have enough to make another round. So the base, again, it's a closed granny square rather than the holes that you see here at the base. And then I used some of the green, and then I ran out, and there was also a blue in that shrug that I used, ran out, and then you can see it's ending with a blue, but it's a different blue, and it's a bamboo blend of something or other, but I just finished stuff in that. And doesn't that look like right now like it could be a top? Huh. I wonder if I can do that. That would make a great top, actually, right there, just without the bottom. I wonder how am I gonna figure out to do the bottom open, but just realize it's a top. Huh. Like that. Anyway, bag is done. So there's that, and then my only other, we definitely lost temperature because the breeze is coming in and it's quite cool now, so we're definitely getting some weather. I've been working on what do you call it? Blanket, 6-day star blanket. Obviously I'm not doing it in 6 days. I started it just to use up the red heart yarn that's seemed to never go away from my stash, but I had shown that, you know, I had started with this buff color that I had in my stash forever, and when I went looking for the buff, I couldn't find it, and I found it and the shade didn't match, but it doesn't matter. So I'm just adding, this is like a gray, the speckles, it's awful. It's worse than the old formula. It feels horrible. But you know red heart, once you wash it, it'll lighten up. And then I had this corally color that I've added in. And then I had, this is the Bitty Stripes in, I forget what the colorway is. It's, I forget, like a patriotic sort of kind of color. Not my favorite one. And then this is not buff. This I think was a, when I was trying to match, when I couldn't find the original buff and I was trying to match it, I can't remember if this was a Michaels yarn or a Walmart yarn that I bought to match. And then this is the other Red Heart Speckles. Feels awful, feels absolutely terrible. So as you can see, mine was kind of like a warm-ish tone to it, and then adding this definitely make it lighter, cooler. And the latest color I've added on, which pulls from there, is, oh, that was the hook, Shocking Pink. And I got it at Walmart ages ago for $1. Ages. So I've added that. It pulls from the speckles just great. So it's just a mishmash of me using up Red Heart yarn and doing the 6-day star blanket. So it's a good child size right now. Totally covers me from sitting down, from it's on the floor at my feet, and it gets to my shoulders. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep going. I think I have that, Shocking Pink, and maybe 3 other colors to go. And again, it's getting bigger, so you're getting less and less rounds. I got 6 rounds out of the speckles. So I'm expecting I'll get maybe 4.5, 5 rounds out of the Shocking Pink, because it just keeps getting bigger. But it's my, whenever, I used to take it with me to my yarn meetup, but it's just too big for that now. So in progress. Now I'm done. Way longer than I was supposed to. I will talk to you guys later. Hope your Sunday ends well. I'm just hoping and praying the rain doesn't get excessive, because I'm still waiting on the roof work to get done. Life, adulting. Okay, no more ho-hum complaining. I will talk to you guys in the next video.